After living in Southern Oregon for 30 plus years and helping countless families relocate here, I have heard just about every single question people have ever come up with about moving to Southern Oregon and living in Southern Oregon, whether it's about the cost of living or the lifestyle, even the downsides or the politics or the issues that people don't really like to talk about. I've heard all of them, and I'm going to answer all of the most common questions about what it's like living in Southern Oregon right here on this video. Hey, I'm Brian Simmons with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate team, and for many years we've helped folks from all over the country relocate to beautiful Southern Oregon, and we'd be more than happy to help you do that as well. So let's go ahead and dive right on into this list with 62 of the most common questions about Southern Oregon. So first off, what is the cost of living in Southern Oregon? Well, that's a great question. It's actually not very high. So if you look at it relative to the other parts of the West Coast, it's actually quite low, especially compared to places like Portland or Seattle, or especially the Bay Area. Southern Oregon tends to be about 6% above the national average. So definitely lower than most areas on the West Coast. Number two, how much does the average home cost? Well, across Southern Oregon, there's a wide variety of homes, but the median home price across Jackson and Josephine counties, if you look at them all together as a whole, is right around $450,000. Number three, is the job market good in Southern Oregon? Well, that actually is going to really depend on what it is that you do for work. A lot of the blue collar jobs and stuff, there's a lot of those out there. There's not as many professional, like corporate style jobs. There are some of those, a lot of medical type jobs out here because of the retirement population and those sorts of things. But yeah, so it kind of depends on the industry on that one. Number four, what is there to do in Southern Oregon? There is a ton of stuff to do in Southern Oregon. All sorts of outdoor activities, endless amounts of outdoor recreation, fishing, hunting, biking, hiking, golfing, all sorts of things. And even if you're more into arts and culture, there's all sorts of different art galleries and festivals and concerts and all sorts of stuff like that too. So really a lot of things for pretty much everyone, regardless of what you're into, you're gonna find something here for you. Number five, how is the weather? The weather is great. We're known for the climate. And there's a sign in Grants Pass that even says it's the climate. And so that's something that Southern Oregon is really well known for. 4 good seasons, not too hot in the summers, not too cold in the winters, just right pretty much all year round. Number six, does it get super hot? I think I just answered that, but it does get pretty warm in the summers. We've had times where it gets over 110, but it's not very common to see that. There's some years where I remember we haven't even hit 100 in the summers. So the typical highs in summer is going to be in the 90s. In the winters, probably in the 50s, maybe low 40s, somewhere in there. Number seven, does it snow a lot? No, it does not snow a lot, especially in the valley, Medford, Grants Pass, kind of what we'd call the Rogue Valley. Not really. We get a few days worth of snow a year. Maybe it turns out to a couple inches. It usually melts right off within a day. Some days, like this year, we actually did get a pretty decent amount of snow. I think we had 6 or 7 inches in Medford in one day, which was not common, but it does happen from time to time. Pretty rare, but fun for everybody. Number eight, is there a lot of smoke in the summers? Depends on the summer. There's been summers where we've had a lot of smoke, and there's been summers where we've had hardly any. It's going to really depend on where wildfires are and what direction the wind is blowing. So it's definitely not something that happens every single year. If you hear that or read that, that's blown out every year with smoke, that's not true. So definitely, you can do your research on that and look up air quality, historical, data on all that, and that's all available online. Number nine, is there a lot of fog? No, not really. I mean, there can be. In the winters, there's times where it's, foggy in the morning, but it typically burns off by midday in most cases. Number 10, where does the airport fly to? Well, on those days where it's really foggy, nowhere. But thankfully, that's not very common. The airport has direct flights to Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, soon to be San Diego, Denver, Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, Phoenix. I think that's pretty much it. Number 11, is it easy to get in and out? I'm assuming that's in regards to the airport, but yeah, it is. If you have, especially a TSA pre-check, you can pretty much roll into the airport an hour before your flight is due to take off, and you'll have no problems getting through. Probably even less time than that, honestly, if you're not checking a bag or anything like that. But I think they suggest at least an hour before, just to keep it safe. Number 12, what are the biggest downsides to living in Southern Oregon? I don't know, honestly. I guess it depends on your situation. It depends on what you consider a downside. Some would consider the weather maybe a downside. I think that most people would consider that an upside. If you don't like all 4 seasons and you want a really dry climate, then maybe the weather. Good question. I think it's going to depend on your specifics. So go ahead and reach out, and I'd be happy to talk through that with you and be honest with you about what's probably the biggest downside given your specific situation? Number 13, what are the biggest upsides? Well, generally the biggest upsides that we hear from people that are moving here from out of the area are going to say things like the cost of living being low, the weather being very good and having all 4 seasons. They're going to talk about price of housing is a big one, outdoor recreation like we talked about, having so many things to be able to do. All of the above, those are really all the biggest upsides, and kind of the combination of those things becomes a really, really big upside. Number 14, this is a loaded one. Is it liberal like the rest of Oregon? Well, no. What kind of? Ashland definitely is more of a liberal like hub politically, similar to Eugene and Portland, but the rest of Southern Oregon is definitely not. It tends to be more kind of middle of the road. There's definitely parts that are much more conservative, but overall, Jackson County is pretty balanced, I would say. I think it was like in the low 50s in terms of the percent that voted Republican in the last election. I think Jefferson County was a little bit more than that, maybe closer to 60%. But in any case, there's pockets that are much more liberal and pockets that are much more conservative. Number 15, how are the schools? Like anywhere, I think you're gonna find schools that are great and schools that are not. It's gonna really depend again on like the fit of what you consider a great school. Is it a smaller school with smaller class sizes? Is it a bigger school with more access to different types of programs and stuff? And so that's one, again, really kind of a case-by-case basis. I would say that the schools are good in terms of there's a lot of options. If you wanted private school or you want public school or you want schools that are along the Waldorf criteria, those types of schools, there's all sorts of different stuff like that. Charter schools and whatnot. So again, pretty much tends to be something for everybody out there. Number 16, are there good restaurants? Yes, especially in Ashland. Ashland has fantastic food. I would just check out Yelp. You'll see there's a lot of really, really good restaurants in Ashland. Number 17, why are so many people moving to Southern Oregon? Again, it's kind of the combination of everything. Most frequently, you hear people talk about, again, the weather, the cost of living, the outdoor recreation, all those types of things. It's a good place to be able to spend time and to retire to. If you're looking at the West Coast, we tend to get a lot of people because number one, we're not California. Number two, we're not in a rainforest like the rest of Northern Oregon. And we're not in a desert like the rest of Eastern Oregon. And so we're kind of just that one little pocket that has the climate, has a low cost of living and isn't California and isn't a rainforest. So a lot of people end up moving here for those reasons. Number 18, what is the biggest city in the area? And that is definitely gonna be Medford. Medford has a population around 85,000, I believe, last time I saw. So definitely the biggest in the area. Next to that is gonna be Grants Pass, which is about half the size. Number 19, is there good medical care in the area? So yeah, I would say so. The Asante hospital system was awarded and has been recognized as one of the top 15 hospital systems in the country for the last 10 years or more. So I would say that's pretty good. We have a lot of really good specialists in the area, whether it's, orthopedics or eye doctors and stuff like that. There's a lot of really good specialists. So I've heard a lot of good things about that. I've heard also people talk about wait times and stuff for getting an appointment. I don't know if that's more related to their insurance or whatever their personal situation is, but I do know that in terms of quality of doctors, there are some pretty good ones here. Number 20, what are the best areas to live? That is definitely going to depend on the specifics of your situation, whether you want to be in a small town or closer to all the amenities, if you want to have more rural, more, neighborhood type of a vibe. There's so many options. So that's something we should discuss and figure out what is exactly, the right fit for you, and happy to do that. One page down. Number 21, are there areas to avoid? Of course, just like any other area in the country, there's definitely sub areas of the main area that are not as desirable for whatever reason, whether it be crime rates are higher or it's just, not as pretty or whatever the case is. So there's definitely those types of areas here in Southern Oregon. Number 22, how is the crime rate? So this is one I would definitely suggest you doing your own research on because I think it's something that people interpret differently. The property crime has been kind of the most common type of crime in Southern Oregon, which is what, kind of the classification for things like trespassing and theft and whatnot. It's more so that type of crime here than violent crime. And so that's something to just kind of be aware of. Number 23, are there pot farms all over the place? There were a heck of a lot more back in like 2020, 2019, back in those days when the pot industry was really rocking and rolling. It has definitely come down a lot, and a lot of those pot farms have disappeared, thankfully. So it's definitely not what it was back then. Number 24, what is the homeless situation like? Man, we're hitting all the fun ones right now on the streak here. The homeless situation is, again, very similar to the pot situation. It's not what it once was. So Grants Pass had involvement in a Supreme Court case. Essentially, long story short, the Supreme Court ruled in their favor where they were able to enforce a ban on camping on public property. And so that has been something that had a big effect for Grants Pass and for cities across the country to be able to enforce those types of camping bans. So since they've done that, the homeless problem or issue or situation, whatever you want to call it, is one that has become much less of an issue. Number 25, what is there to do for young kids? There's a ton. So all the outdoor recreation is endless. And so that's a great way to be able to get the kids off the video games, get them away from YouTube, off of their tablet, and get them outside riding their bike, hiking trails, having fun outside, building tree forts, doing all that kind of stuff. There's tons of great neighborhoods where the kids can ride their bikes and play basketball outside and do all that kind of fun stuff with other neighborhood kids. And so lots of great stuff there for sure. So endless amounts of things for the young kids to do. Number 26, what is there to do for retirees? Again, endless amounts of things. If they're interested in any of the outdoor stuff, fishing, hunting, hiking, camping, biking, walking, golfing, any of those things, there's tons of it. There's amazing vineyards. There's a lot of great art galleries and art types of opportunities, and the Shakespeare Festival and Ashland and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So again, tons of different opportunities for retirees. Lots of good volunteering type of opportunities as well in the community, or the various communities around Southern Oregon too. Number 27, what is the biggest house I can buy for the least amount of money? That's a very good question, kind of an interesting one and tough to answer. I'm going to look at the price per square foot to answer that best. There are some options that you can look at for under $100 a square foot, so you can kind of just take it from there. You know, I think that was about a 1,200 square foot house for under 120,000. So probably not in the best condition. Obviously, that's going to be a factor there. So again, something we should probably talk about in person or on a phone call, and I'd be more than happy to look and show you some specific examples of the maximum amount of square footage you can buy within your budget. Number 28, what are property taxes like in Southern Oregon? And that again is one that is going to depend on the specifics of the situation, because there's various, different cities, and each city has their, assessments different, each school district, and all those sorts of things. As a rule of thumb, once you're outside of any of the city limits and you're in what is called the county, your property taxes are typically much lower. And there's a lot of great opportunities where you can be very, very close to the city while still also being in the county. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Number 29, how competitive is the housing market? Well, right now, we're just kind of gearing up in spring. It is the end of March. It's March 27th, which is actually my birthday today. But it is competitive. It's getting more competitive as rates come down and more buyers jump in. We're seeing multiple offers pretty regularly right now. Not all the time like it was a few years ago, but it's pretty common still, especially for homes that are priced right and in great condition. Number 30, what should I know about wildfire risks? So this is a pretty complicated issue and definitely takes more time to explain than what we have on this video right here. So I just say that it's something that is nothing to be afraid of. It's something that we've been able to get insurance. I've never had one. I've only had one actually that I can think of that has not been able to get insurance, but for the most part, it becomes a non-issue. Number 31, how does the cost of utilities compare to other areas? Well, I don't know, because I don't know what other areas you're talking about. The cost of utilities here, as far as I understand, are pretty standard. They're not overly expensive. They're not incredibly cheap. It's going to depend on the home, right? Does your home have only electric, everything, right? Electric heat, electric hot water heater, electric appliances, all that, or do you have gas? Gas tends to be a little bit cheaper, natural gas. So there's a lot of those types of options that need to be considered, but there's a lot of websites out there that will do those types of comparisons of the cost of living and really like the breakdown of each category, like utilities and their power, the cost per kilowatt hour. I have no idea what that is. I was asked that the other day. I don't know, but that's all available online. You can Google it, and I'm sure you can find that. Number 32, what types of homes are most common in Southern Oregon? There are a lot of homes on the outskirts of town that are half acre to a few acres, those types of homes. There's a lot of those all over the place on the outskirts of towns and in the smaller towns around Southern Oregon. So if you want a place for, a dog to run around or your kids to have a nice fenced yard or whatever the case is, generally going to have a lot of options for that. We're starting to see a lot more new construction as builders are kind of catching up with the notion that we need more housing here in Southern Oregon. So we're starting to see a lot more of that pop up as well. Number 33, is it a good place for remote workers? Yeah, I would say so. I know several clients that I've worked with that are remote workers who are in the various industries, and they are able to work from home all the time. So we have very solid internet connectivity here. In some areas that's not the case, but in most areas, it's not an issue. I live in Rogue River, a mile or so outside of town, so kind of one of those properties like we described, a couple acres, pretty close to town, and I have fiber internet that's gigabit up, gigabit down, so really, really good internet access. And that's pretty common across most of Southern Oregon. Number 34, how are internet and cell service in more rural areas? I think I just answered that for the internet question. On the cell service side of things, it's pretty good, really. You can drive from Medford all the way to Grants Pass on Interstate 5 and not drop cell service. Usually, there is one spot that you kind of could. It still does happen from time to time, but that is my measure of how good it is, because I know for a long time growing up, it was not that way. You couldn't drive around and keep a connection and keep a call going that whole drive. So it's something that is pretty good. It's improving. Hopefully sometime soon, maybe Elon Musk will come up with Starlink for cell phones that makes it a non-issue and we have internet service and cell service everywhere. Number 35, what is the process like for buying land and building a home? The process is expensive and risky and long. So if that's something that sounds great to you, it's a good option. No, but for real, it is a great option if you have very specific requirements. If you want a really specific style home or want some specific functionality to the home, that's a great option to consider. Otherwise, I would always suggest trying to find a home that is already built that would be a good fit. And if we're not able to find that, then that's when you want to consider buying land and building. Number 36, can I find homes with acreage easily? Yes, I would say definitely. It depends, again, always on budget and location and all that kind of stuff, but there is a ton of homes with acres here in Southern Oregon. Number 37, is Southern Oregon a good place for farming or homesteading? Yes, we have a lot of properties, again, that are the same types, a couple acres, quite a few of them that are more suitable for the farming and homesteading. Let's say farming, because I think farming and homesteading, I think of the two separate things, but from a farming standpoint, most of those types of properties that were more agricultural or farming oriented are going to have water rights associated with them. And so for being able to do irrigation, that's something that you shouldn't have too much of an issue finding. In terms of homesteading though, if you're talking about more of like an off-grid type property, those do exist as well. And there's a lot of opportunities for that. So either way, whether you're more, want the kind of farming lifestyle or the homesteading or the combination of the two, there's plenty of options out there. Number 38, when is the best time of year to buy a home? Really depends again on the specifics. I think if I were to say, when are you generally able to get the best deal when you're purchasing, it's typically going to be right when nobody else is buying, right? So like that kind of time frame between Thanksgiving and Christmas, that tends to be a pretty slow period. And if you want to get a great deal, that can be a good time. That being said, we see great deals all the time. So I think the best time is to buy when you're ready. Number 39, how long do homes typically stay on the market? The average days on market right now across Jackson and Josephine counties is about 50 days. I think that's pretty skewed. If you have a home that's kind of priced right, looking right, it's going to sell pretty quickly. I would say probably more in like the 2 to 3 week range. Number 40, what is the average rent cost in Southern Oregon? Again, going to depend obviously on the size of the house, but if you looked at like the average 3-bed, 2-bath house, you should be able to find a 3-bed, 2-bath house in a decent area for $2,000 a month or right in that ballpark. Page number 2, down. Number 41, are there a lot of vacation rentals or Airbnbs? Yeah, there definitely are plenty of options there. I don't know anybody who has been looking for one that hasn't been able to find one, especially on the vacation rental and Airbnb side of things. The normal like month to month or lease term rentals can sometimes be a little bit more of a challenge, but the short-term stuff has not really been from what I've heard. Number 42, how is the traffic? Usually not an issue. It can be sometimes, but it's usually in very like specific, concentrated areas like around Target and Medford. There's kind of a big intersection there with the mall and Target, and there's another big shopping center. That can get kind of backed up a little bit sometimes. So can a couple other streets, but typically like not an issue. And especially if you are from somewhere that has like real traffic, like the Bay Area or Southern California or Seattle or Portland or somewhere like that, what I just referred to as traffic is more like hit your brakes on the street. It's not what you're thinking of as traffic. So if you're from a place like that, I would say, no, we do not have any traffic at all. Number 43, what are the best neighborhoods in Medford, Grants Pass, or Ashland? That is going to depend, of course, on what you are looking for in a neighborhood. But I will tell you what my favorite neighborhood in Southern Oregon is the one that I'm sitting in right now as I record this video, is Twin Creeks in Central Point. And I can make another video and tell you all about why I think that, but I haven't actually said that I have a favorite neighborhood in the past, but this is actually it. Number 44, 4, are there many HOA communities? So homeowners association. Yeah, there are some, not many though. We tend to have more of the rural fringe type properties, lots of those. A lot of the neighborhoods that are more established, that were built maybe in the early 2000s or prior, tend to not have HOAs in them. Some of the newer developments do though. But for the most part, if you were looking for something without an HOA, that's pretty easy to find. Number 45, is Southern Oregon a good place to retire? I would say absolutely. I obviously have not retired to Southern Oregon. I've lived here, but I have helped a lot of people retire to Southern Oregon, and every single one of them that I know of is very, very happy. We actually made a video, I'll put a link to it in the description, where I interviewed a client talking all about his experience retiring to Southern Oregon. So check that one out and you can hear it directly from him instead of me. Number 46, how easy is it to find contractors for home renovations? It depends on if you have a network of contractors, and we do. So if you reach out to us, we can definitely help you with that, and we can make that very, very easy on you. Otherwise, could be a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, just call, text, email, whatever, and we'll send you a list of great contractors in the area. Number 47, what are the best outdoor activities for families? There's so many. I would say we like as a family to go hiking, to go biking, go to the park, go up in the snow in the wintertime, go up in the mountains. Camping obviously is a ton of fun. The dunes are only a few hours away. You can go ride quads and side-by-sides and all that. It's really hard to pick just one. Number 48, are there good golf courses in the area? Yes. So Centennial Golf Course is one of my favorites, probably my favorite. It's been recognized by national magazines and Golf Digest and all those types of places as a great public course. Eagle Point has also earned a lot of good positive recognition, so I think that's another good one that is pretty popular. Rogue Valley Country Club's good. There's several pretty good ones out here. Number 49, how is the fishing and hunting scene? I would say pretty good, really. So hunting for black-tailed deer, I would say is probably the best. I know there's a lot of people that come from out of the area to hunt black-tailed deer here in Southern Oregon, so that's probably the best hunting opportunity. Elk is not as good, I would say, in comparison to other parts of the state, and fishing is very good. The Rogue River is legendary, is very well known for its fishing opportunities, so definitely a great one, and a lot of other opportunities as well for fishing here in Southern Oregon. Number 50, how far is the coast from Southern Oregon? So the coast, you can be in Brookings. I think from Grants Pass to Brookings is about 2 hours or so. So right around there, probably 3 from Medford, depending on what part of Medford you're coming from and where you're going. But I'd say 2-3 hours. It really depends on where you're at though. Number 51, what is the culture like compared to Northern Oregon? Very different, I would say. So Northern Oregon, I always think of Portland and just kind of all the stuff that's been going on up there and what you see in the news and all that. I know that that's not everywhere in Northern Oregon, just like, there's Medford and everything doesn't characterize all of Southern Oregon, right? So I don't like to, paint with a broad brush like that, but culturally it is very different. Climate-wise, it's very different. It's just different in a lot of ways. It's not really like Northern Oregon at all. Number 52, is there a strong sense of community? Yes, especially in these smaller towns. So again, like I live in a town of Rogue River, and it has a very strong sense of community, small town feel. Everybody knows everybody, all that fun stuff. I know that exists in many other towns across Southern Oregon, whether it be Central Point, Shady Cove, Eagle Point, all those different places. A lot of little towns definitely have that strong sense of community. Number 53, what are the best small towns to live in? I believe I made a video about that one, so you can look at that for more specific information on it. But I always say I love Rogue River. I've lived there forever. I think it's a great town. I also like Shady Cove a lot. I like Talent a lot. I think those are all great places, but there's so many. I mean, Jacksonville, I love Jacksonville. Outside of Grants Pass, some of the areas around there are really, really good. And there's a lot of great options. So again, that's one of those things that just depends on what your specific needs and wants are and what your specific situation is. Number 54 is a good place to invest in rental properties. I believe it is. We have a pretty strong investor scene here, and there's a lot of good multifamily properties and stuff that seem to sell pretty quickly. And it's because renting, there's been kind of a shortage of rentals. There's been a shortage of housing in general across Oregon, and that's definitely something we felt here in Southern Oregon. So when there's a shortage, that supply and demand. So it kind of makes it good for landlords because they're not sitting on vacant units very often. So yeah, for those reasons, I would say it tends to be a pretty good spot. Number 55, what's the best way to finance a home in Southern Oregon? So the best way to finance a home is by contacting our preferred lender, Melissa Redding with Strategy One Home Loans. Her contact information is on the screen right now. She's fantastic, will definitely help you out, take great care of you, and explain to you all of the options that you have for financing a home here in Southern Oregon. Number 56, what do I need to know about well water and septic systems? Good question. So what you need to know is that the state requires a seller to provide a water purity test for their well before they can sell the property. And then on the septic side of things, and for both, honestly, you get a well flow test down on the well, and then you'll know the exact flow. But the septic side of things, you can ask for for the seller to pump the septic tank, and then you do a septic inspection, and you look at all that type of stuff. The septic company provides a report and tells you about the condition of it. And so that's what you need to know, I would say, is that there are professionals who can look over both of those systems and tell you exactly what the condition is and if there's anything that you should be concerned about. Number 57, what is the best way to sell a home quickly in Southern Oregon? That is easiest. That's probably the easiest question we've had all day. That's simple. Hire the Buying Southern Oregon team and we'll sell your home fast, because we have this awesome YouTube channel that brings in all sorts of buyers from all over the country, and it's a great way to get exposure for your listing. Number 58, what is the best way to find off-market homes? That's another good one where I would say call us, because we hear all the time from people who are saying, hey, you know, I've got a house in Medford that I'm considering selling. I don't really want to put it on the market yet, but if you have anybody looking for X, Y, and Z, go ahead and give me a call, because I might be interested in selling if the price is right. Number 59, are there any good local breweries or wineries? I don't know. I've never been to any breweries or winery. Just kidding. There are actually a lot of really good breweries and wineries all across Southern Oregon. Some of my favorites on the wine side, I really like Del Rio, I like Hummingbird, I like Relic, I like Cressel. There's a lot of them on that side of things. I like Danson out in Jacksonville, and tons of really good breweries as well, and even more coming. So Scout Brewery in Ashland, I heard, is opening one in Central Point. There's another similar one opening up in Central Point called Ferment and Fire that's coming up soon. And The Weekend in Grants Pass. I mean, there's all sorts of really, really good breweries and brew pubs that have, you know, tons and tons of taps. So lots of great options there for sure. Number 60, what's the arts and entertainment scene like? It is really good, honestly. So Ashland is well known for being a great arts town. It was ranked one of the top small arts towns in the country. And so definitely a great place for arts in Ashland. And Jackso has the Brit Festival, which is amazing. It's a concert series that goes throughout the summer, and that is awesome. So lots of great arts and entertainment all throughout the year. Last but not least is number 61, and we're done with our list. And that is, are there any wild animals in Southern Oregon? And yes, of course there are. We have some pretty rural areas across here, and we definitely do get some wild animals. So now that you pretty much know everything that there is to know about Southern Oregon, all you have left to do now is just pick up that phone and give me a call or a text or shoot me an email, whatever is easiest for you, and reach out with any questions that I didn't answer that you still have, and I'd be more than happy to help. So please don't hesitate to do that. I'm always here, happy to answer your specific questions and do what we can to help you make your move to Southern Oregon. Again, I'm Brian Simmons with the Buying Southern Oregon Real Estate Team. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching this video, and we will see you on the next one.